Hi guys. So I have absolutely the most bizarre story to share with you guys today. So let me basically start from the beginning and just say, like, you guys already know about my infertility and how every single one of my kids have been super planned and have been super I needed resources to get pregnant, basically. So I have been very confused about whether I wanted a fourth or not, and it was just something, and it was going to be definitely something that I didn't do anytime soon, even if I did decide we wanted a fourth. We did decide we wanted a fourth, and that was because I've had my last two years apart, and it was a very hard year with my son going through his terrible twos, and then my daughter being in such an infant. And I told myself if I ever did have another one, then it would have to be at least a 3 to 4 year age gap, and that was something I was going to be comfortable with. So obviously we had decided that once Alina turns 2, we'll touch base and see where we are. And if we decide, then we'll try it. And if we don't, we'll wait 1 more year. And when she's 3, we'll touch base again. And at that point we decide that we are done, then we were just gonna end it there and not try, we were gonna be done. So that was the plan. And I started my first cycle ever since I had Alina. So 13 months later, basically a year later, let's just say, I started my cycle January 21st, and it was a full-on great 1 week period. And after I got done with that, obviously with Pcos, I've never been regular or anything, so I really didn't think anything of it, and I just kind of put it out of my mind. And so then I decided, okay, I should go ahead and download the app so I can keep track of my cycles and see when my next one comes. So when I put in the information, and then I put in that that's the 21st I had my first cycle, it kind of gave me an estimate. So it kind of gave me an estimated ovulation date, and I was like, oh, that's funny, for somebody who ovulates on day 14, because even with Clomid, I didn't ovulate till day 19. So, and even with IVF, it took longer, a couple more days than it normally does. So anyways, I thought that was just funny, and I just put it on the side of my mind, whatever. And so moving forward, so I had been very sick in December, and in January I got sick like 3 times in the span of those 2 months. And then when I had this terrible cough, it lasted like 3.5 weeks. I had finally gone to the doctor, and she had to prescribe me like 3 different medicines in that little span of time before my cough even went away. So I was like on antibiotics, and then I was finally on steroids, which is what really helped. And so I thought that's why, but I've been feeling so angry. I was just such an angry person. Like, everything was just irritating me. I was just pissed off, and just at everything and anything. So I am putting it, to that, I was taking steroids, and that's what was making me so angry. And my appetite, oh my God, my appetite had increased, and I was like constantly hungry, and I just constantly eat sweets. And the thing with me and ice cream is that I'm not crazy about ice cream, but like if I'm about to start a cycle, or if like I'm in a hormonal stage, that's when I want ice cream, and like a very particular one too. So I had told my husband to get me this ice cream, and I remember eating it, and I'm like, yeah, I just had a period, and I'm craving ice cream, like that's weird. But again, just kind of didn't think anything of it. And then I remember when I had gotten pregnant with Amar, was the one that had led to being a budded ovum. I remember I was nursing him, and I would just get so irritable, like every time I had to nurse him, and it was just like so painful, and I was so over it. And I remember that it started happening with Alina, and I was just getting so irritated, and I just didn't want to nurse her anymore, and it was like hurting. And then I realized like that my boobs were getting sore, and they were like heavy, and then a couple of times in the morning for a few days, I realized that I was feeling nauseous. And again, in my head, I feel like, oh, it's because I was taking steroids. Like, okay, but it's been a few days since I stopped, but it's just the after effects of it. So again, I'm literally not thinking anything of it. And so come Friday, I'm talking to my husband and I'm telling him everything, you know, all this. And he was just like, he was joking with me and he goes, "You're so pregnant." And I was like, that's so funny. So literally there's like this 0.01% chance in my head that I'm questioning it. I'm like, am I? But then I have all these other thoughts like, okay, I've never gotten pregnant on my own. Like, it just doesn't happen to me. I'm not that person that would ever have a surprise pregnancy. Also, I've never ovulated early or even on time. So there is no, and I know, you know, my days of, you know, activity to know, you know, that it was very close to that day 14, and that just would be impossible because, you know, that's just me. So I'm like questioning myself, all these things. I'm like, okay, there's a 0.01% chance. So how about we just take a pregnancy test so we can erase that 0.01% chance that I could be pregnant. So he's like, okay. So I come back home and, you know, we put food for the kids and we go in the restroom. And I was like, you know what, you do it this time. Like, I always take the pregnancy test, and whether they've been positive or negative, I said, you do it. I said, it's gonna be negative anyway. So I had him put it, now I wish I'd recorded it, because I had him put in the droplets, and I'm like, you have to wait 2-3 minutes. I was like, let's go eat and we'll come back and check after. And he starts to move away, but then he stops again, he looks back, and then I see him smiling, and I look at the pregnancy test, and you guys, I'm pregnant. I am freaking pregnant, and it wasn't even planned. We weren't even trying, and I am still in so much shock right now. Like, we just found out yesterday, but you guys will probably not see this till I'm well past 8 weeks, or even maybe the first round. I haven't decided yet, but either way, you guys, I'm so shocked. Like, I'm still so shocked that this happened. Like, how I was fertile. Like, anyways, I can just go on and on about how shocked I am. But so my first thoughts were like, oh my God, like, so shocked. But then my thoughts were like, oh my God, Alina's still so young. And, you know, I didn't want to have so close, you know, 2 years apart, because it was very hard. And, you know, Amar, you know, he just, you know, is 3 and Alina's 1. And what are we doing? Like, I'm still nursing her, and we're so busy. Like, what? And what is everybody gonna say? What is our family members gonna say? Like, they're gonna think we're so irresponsible. So I'm having all these thoughts just like zoom running into my brain. And I'm just like, oh my God, another C-section. Like, it's so close with my second and, you know, my second and third one. Like, oh my God. So long story short, my husband was like, calm down. Calm down. It's a God's blessing. This is what it is. All right, hey guys, sorry I totally didn't get to say bye in my last video, but I think this will be just, you know, an attachment to the last video from where I left off. So basically the last video was me announcing to you about this pregnancy and kind of how we found out and stuff. So let me go ahead and fast forward since then. At that time, and this is really interesting, so at the time when I told you guys, I was about 5 weeks or 4.5 weeks. I remember I had just found out. So I had said I was going to announce later on once I've had everything checked out and everything, and so that was the plan. So I think a week went by, and I remember I kept getting these very sharp pains from my uterus, from my ovaries to my uterus and kind of back, and just a very heavy feeling. And my symptoms were very strong for being so early. And I remember with my last 2 pregnancies, I didn't have any morning sickness or anything like that. And this time around, I have been feeling very nauseous and just, you know, having dizzy spells and waves of nausea, and just so tired, extremely exhausted. And I know it's a lot going on this time around too, with school and 3 kids already and stuff. So I knew it was going to be a while before I had a doctor's appointment, since I have a lot of insurance stuff to figure out. So I looked up and saw that there was this place called Annie Labs near my school. So I figured maybe I can go get a blood test done, make sure my HCG levels are good, since I've had 2 miscarriages in the past, which we'll talk about in another video. And so at this point, I was 5 weeks and 4 days when they had drawn my blood. My HCG levels came back 58,404. Oh my God, that's even beyond more than like how much they would be if I were to have had twins. Like, that's insanely high. So I did some Google searching and I saw three options. My three options were either I am more far along than I thought I was, which to me made no sense because I had a cycle January 21st. I had a full-on cycle. So I said, and that was my first since I've had Alina. So I said that's not it. Second option is multiples, which again, in my head, I was like, it's already a miracle and a shock that I am pregnant to begin with. I don't even want to think like that it could be more than one. Like, that's just beyond possible in my head. And the third thing that I saw was molar pregnancy. So I'm like, so now I'm like so stressed out that I have a molar pregnancy because I'm thinking, okay, I've you know, miscarried one baby at 6 weeks. I've had a blotted ovum. You know, I've not had ectopic pregnancy, but of course I would get a molar pregnancy, like, you know. So at this point, I'm really stressed out because the HCG levels were very, very high. So I called the doctor's office, told them I didn't have my insurance in order yet, and they basically said, well, if I didn't have it for my first appointment, I have to put down like $1,500 towards delivery, and then it's non-refundable. So I said, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna have to wait it out until I get everything figured out and stuff. And I was having a ton of pain, so that kind of really in my mind made it seem like more, okay, something's not right. So when I thought I was 5 weeks and 6 days or something, or maybe 6 weeks, I'm so sorry, my dates are so off, I have such a pregnancy brain. My brother and I decided to go ahead and go to the ER and just make sure everything's okay. And so we went and they were able to check me in and you know, did all my blood tests, and then they took me to the ultrasound. So when you have an ultrasound at the ER, they don't let you see anything. They have the screen just to themselves and they can't tell you anything. They have like such a poker face. So I'm like stressed out. I'm like, well, how many are in there? Is it a molar pregnancy? Like, they really can't tell me anything. So they finished up that, took me back to my room, and we were waiting for the doctors to come in. So then the doctor came in, drum roll, and he said, everything looks great. Your baby is healthy. It has a strong heartbeat. You're just a lot further along than you thought you were. And at this point, I'm like, what? And then he went along the lines of trying to tell me that I had internal bleeding and that it's not bad and it's very common and that my doctor will just keep an eye on it and all this stuff. So I'm just at this point still processing how in the heck am I more far along when I had a cycle. So then I was like, okay, so that cycle that I had, and he said it was because of the internal bleeding. So it was never a real cycle, and I had been pregnant for 8.5 weeks. So he said I was 8 weeks and 4 days. Oh, wow. So yeah, and shock number 2, right? So at this point, tomorrow on Wednesday, I will be 10 weeks pregnant. And once I finish my first trimester, I will make a whole video talking about all my symptoms and, you know, in more depth of everything, unless these videos cover it all. So we'll see. I'm still waiting to get to my first doctor's appointment, and they can do another ultrasound, make sure the bleeding has stopped and make sure the baby's still growing. I have been checking the heartbeat at home with my Doppler, which that thing is literally amazing, and I am able to find it and listen to the heartbeat and stuff, so that really helps me feel better that the baby's doing okay. And as soon as hopefully I get my first doctor's appointment, hopefully everything's good, smooth sailing, and as soon as we hit 13 weeks, I will post this video and you guys will be caught on. And so then after that, I will do pregnancy updates. So for now, that's the update, and please subscribe so you can get more exciting pregnancy updates and more in depth of everything that happens and our thought processes and stuff. So subscribe and like this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.